So this is one of those weeks where all of us working in CosmoQuest are just kind of trying to keep up and not look at the news at all. So if you're like me and you need a distraction, well, hopefully we can all be distracted together this evening. Once I finish getting things set up on my computer, I'm going to work on doing some programming live to the internet. There's only one of you watching. Thank you, Bill. You're the only one out there. I'm not quite sure what I did other than forget to tweet. So let me tweet. Well, there's two of you now. Okay, maybe I'm okay. Welcome, second person who's now here. So, welcome. I guess it's a slow internet day. So next week things are going to be a little bit strange, and I'm using that camera. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Bill. All the shares are greatly appreciated. Next week, things are going to be a little bit weird. I'm not actually going to even be in the United States next Tuesday. I am going to the Netherlands, which is one of my favorite places. The Netherlands, New Zealand, and Canada are on my list of countries I would move to in a heartbeat if I could leave the U.S. and keep my funding. There's places within the U.S. I'd be willing to move to, but I just love the Netherlands. It's beautiful. It's fabulous. And I'm leaving Friday to fly there, and Saturday midday I will be arriving in Amsterdam. And so Sunday's stream, which I would normally do with Joe, although he took over for me last Sunday when I was ill. I'm now finally feeling better. We have a small office which is filled with a whole lot of college students, which, while they aren't plague vectors the way small children are, they're only a step up from small children plague vectors. So I'm doing better now. But we had a virus that ran through the office, and I think I was apparently the last one in the office to get it. And once again, on this Sunday, Joe is going to be taking over for me and running the stream. He's going to be doing some programming. And yeah, Paranor, I accidentally started the stream on entirely the wrong channel. I've been living in fear that I would do that. Today is the day I decided to launch things on the wrong channel. But better to accidentally launch my personal channel than to accidentally launch my work channel. And it didn't get any further than staring at the AFK message going, this is not right. Why? What is wrong with this? And then feeling really dumb. Anyways, Sunday Joe is going to be here instead of me. And next Tuesday night, this time in the Netherlands is 2 a.m. and I suspect I will be canceling the feed because I like myself. But I might be able to get someone else within CosmoQuest to pick up and stream for me. So those are some of the things that are going on. Don't worry, Matt Richardson, he will be around all the normal times. And if any of you happen to be in the EU and up for a train ride, the meetup that I'm doing in Amsterdam on Sunday afternoon is going to be near the Amsterdam train station. And I'd love it if any of you who are there could hop on over and join me in the cafe for a cup of coffee and a bunch of science, and I'll have some freebies to give away to anyone who comes. And Call Me Sabs is like, well, you don't need to worry anymore about doing it on accident for the first time. No, it's true. I've now gotten that mistake completely out of the way. Anyways, so those are the announcements I wanted to put up at the beginning of this stream. So the other thing that I wanted to work on today is just doing some variable star coding. Now, what I'm doing now is kind of the opposite of what Joe is doing with his software. Instead of working on writing software to measure variable stars, I'm working on writing software to simulate variable stars. I'm doing this using the processing computer language, which is a variation on Java. And someone just, thanks for the follow, call me Sabs. My animation did not work the way it should. That's very sad. But thank you for the follow. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to first of all switch how I'm sharing my screen once I get everything open. And then I will work on talking you through all the coding I'm doing. And that is the best alternative to who's on first I've seen in a while, Sabs. Okay, switching screens. Let's see. There we go. So there's my coding window. And I've never actually clicked this button before. So it's like going, hey, this is kind of Java. But apparently I can switch it to other modes. I didn't know that. I never noticed that button before. Now, the way this works is when I press play, it's going to start running my simulation for me. And of course, it's running it where you can't see it. Now, you may remember that last week I had a hateful Macintosh, and it didn't really animate this in a reasonable way. I have since rebooted, and it turns out rebooting computers cures many things that ail them. Now, if you watch closely, the color of this star is getting whiter. It's getting towards shorter wavelengths of light as the star gets smaller. And then when the star rebounds and starts getting big again, hey, raging hamster, as the star starts getting bigger again, it's going to cool off. It's going to get redder and redder and redder. So this is my little simulation. Now, the next thing that I want to add to this is I want to make it so that there's a plot running across the top that's kind of in sync with how the star is behaving. Now, in order to do that, here's my entire canvas. It doesn't quite fit. It's only missing like 30 pixels, and they're 30 pixels of blackness. So I'm not going to worry about the 30 pixels that's missing. So the first thing I want to do is move my star down to give myself some room up here at the top. Now to do that, let's just kind of move this over to the side, get it out of the way. Good enough. I'll make this window a little bit narrower. Now in processing, up here I just have a bunch of variables I declared, and then the first thing it does is it sets up how big the canvas I'm drawing on is, and then it sets my frame rate, which I've set to 10 frames a second. I'm not sure I'm getting 10 frames a second. I'm currently running on a 2012 Mac, and it's going no to many, many things. And yeah, it's sad. Looking at the question. I am IHOP. You're the International House of Pancake is how I'm reading your name. So I am IHOP just wrote that he listened to our episode about the overview effect on Astronomy Cast and didn't think it was woo-woo at all. That makes me feel good. So it turns out, so for those of you who don't know what woo-woo means, there's a lot of things out there that have absolutely no scientific evidence to them. My favorite example of this is people will try and sell you crystals of different compositions and say that they will affect your personality, your mood, your emotions. And it's just a pretty stone you wear around your neck. Now, while there's scientific evidence that you may actually feel better if you feel more beautiful, there isn't any scientific evidence that wearing a purple stone versus a blue stone is going to have any effect on your mood. Now, room color painting, there's scientific evidence about that, but that's a different issue. Now, there is this cool psychology of studying how human beings, by having their perspective changed, by being up above the planet Earth, we see that this change in perspective actually changes about how they think about things and how they contextualize things. We did an entire episode on Astronomy Cast, and we were worried it was going to sound like we were talking about the weird crystally stuff, when in reality we were talking about cool psychology stuff. And it sounds like we actually succeeded in not sounding woo. And Larry's pointing out, you make stars breathe. Yes, I make stars breathe. Variable stars, they're breathing essentially, kind of, sort of. Not really, but it's a good analogy. They're pulsating. The reason that they're pulsating is these stars, they reach a certain point in their evolution where they begin to generate too much energy. And as that energy goes to push the star bigger, it, instead of pushing the star bigger, well, it partially does that, but it also ionizes the outer parts of the star. And that ionization, deionization process, as the star expands and contracts, drives these pulsations. It's a lot more complicated than that. I will, at some point, when I have this simulation working, will switch from programmer brain to variable star person brain and explain the science in more detail. Right now, I'm currently wearing programmer brain, and it turns out I don't switch tasks as well as I might sometimes like. Anyways, so here's my star. And I wrote comments because writing comments is a way of showing that you love your future self. And so more luminous and redder, bigger stars, smaller, less luminous, bluer. So that is exactly what it's doing. And here I'm describing how I'm going to vary all of that stuff. Now what I want to do is just find where it's putting the star down. So use radius star to modify. So that's the radius. And then it's saying where to put it. So let's put this at 2/3 the height. So that I'm hoping we'll put it in the lower part. Now, since this has both my outer limb darkening, this black circling around the edge is what's called limb darkening. It's an effect of looking through more of the star's atmosphere when you look at its edge than when you look at the center. I need to find in my code where I drew that limb darkening. So Larry, what are you asking about tonight or a later date? I'm not sure. It'll probably be a later date if you're asking about when I'm going to explain variable stars. I'm hitting the Tuesday was my second Monday this week. And Sabs is completely right. Deleting comments to save space before release is a sign of how much you hate everyone else. Yes, it is. There's just certain things you don't do if you like your coworkers and yourself. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. I'm going to press play and see if I succeeded in moving it correctly. And I did. That's super exciting. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is just draw where I'm going to put my plot at the top. Now, this is a bit tricky. I want to do it after I draw the background. Now, the first thing I want to do is draw a line, and I need to state the starting and stopping points of the line in XY. So it will be X start, Y start, X stop, Y stop. I'm going to start this. Let's do 1/3 of the way down, I guess. I'm going to do the horizontal line first and fuss with it. And once I get it where I want, then I'll do the other line. So I'm going to start at an X position that is 1/4 of the width and a height that is 1/3 of the height. And I'm being totally inconsistent on if I write width or height as the first part of the variable name or the second part. I don't care. Okay, so now I'm going to go to 3/4 of the width of my canvas, and I'm trying to draw a straight line. So I'm going to do that at 1/3 the height. Now, if I did what I'm hoping I did, I'm going to draw a straight line right here on my canvas. And I should probably say what color I want my line to be. So I'm going to make this a 0. Okay, let's see if that works. And then afterwards, I'm going to set the color back to what it was previously, because I'm sure it was that color previously for a reason. I don't know what the reason was. Oh, that's the color it was previously. Okay, we're good. We're good. Ignore me. I'm going to press play again. I'm going to see what I get. I did not get a line. That makes me sad. Why did I not get a line? Okay. So zero is white, 255 is black. I wonder if this is the thickness of the line instead of the color of the line. No. Okay, this is where I open the documentation. Okay. I need a browser window. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I have too many monitors to function. I now have a browser window. So let's go with processing.org. Here we go. So processing has really good documentation. And all I'm trying to do is draw a line. So I'm going to look for the word line. I'm going to look at the description. So there's the hows of drawing the line. So stroke appears to indeed be the color. I'm just going to grab that particular example and see what that particular example does to see if that makes a line. Okay, so that made a line right there. Okay, so now I'm going to keep my color of 126. Play that, see if I get my line. Okay, so what I did doesn't want to work. I'm going to stare suspiciously at it. Okay, so let's do 100, 100, 400, 100, and see if that gets me a line. That got me a line. Okay, so now I'm going to do height times 1 divided by 4. Let's see if that gets me a line. I'm going to find where my bug is. That got me a line. Oh, somewhere the universe hates me. Yes, Abu, I've been on Skylace's stream several times. So I don't just talk science. I love to talk science, but I also code science. So what I'm doing right now is I'm working on writing the software to model a variable star. I just apparently broke my code, and I'm not sure why I broke my code. So let's try this. Thank you, Sabs. Okay, so apparently my documentation, I wrote notes just to lie to myself. Just to lie to myself. Okay, so it turns out my comments were a lie. It was entirely a lie. 255 is actually white and 0 is actually black. So tonight it's not the spoon is a lie, it's the comments and the code are a lie. Okay, so let me go back to what I had before. I'm going to go from width. So I'm going to start from 1/4 of the way in. I'm going to go to 3/4 of the way in. And there is my line. It's not the most exciting line, but it's a line. I'm now going to set my color back to black so it's not outlining my star, because let's face it, stars don't have outlines. Okay, now I want, since I'm making a plot, to do a second line. It has the exact same starting point, but now I want to go upwards. And I'm back to the same weird problem I had last week, where copy and paste does not work within processing, which is just cruel and unusual behavior on the part of a computer. Okay, so I'm working to make this line right here. So I'm going to go from there, and I'm going to keep the exact same X position, and I want to go up. So let's do height times 1/8. Let's see how that looks. It's a line. It's another line. I'm okay with these lines. I was using Command C and Command V, and I can even see when I'm trying to do the copy and paste that it was doing the stuff up here. It's just like it doesn't care. It's not going to do it. So thanks, Sabs. Oh, you noticed something in my code that I didn't see. You're right. Background 0. Yep, that's black. Okay, my notes to myself were full of lies. Okay, let's see if we can figure out this copy and paste problem. Okay, so I'm hitting Control C. I'm hitting Control V, and that does absolutely nothing. So I don't know. I have no idea. So Command C, Command V, it says nope, and it says nope hard. Let's try it again while it's not running the animation, just in case that's something. No, it won't. Comments mean you love yourself, but when you lie, it means that your past self was a dumbass. I'm going to go with that. Past me was stupid. Yes, Sabs, I will assert that is a bug in processing. Okay. So we have a plot. Now what I want is to put a curve of brightness versus time that will follow how I'm varying the brightness of my star. Over time, the way I'm going to do this will actually have points that will follow along that line as my star changes in brightness. Today, I'm just going to aim to get all the liney bits up here, and then I'll animate them over time. So let me label what I'm doing here. So draw the plot setup. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line on the plot that is a basic sine wave. I'm just going to start with something simple. Now, for a sine wave, I have y is equal to my angle is changing over time. Let me write this out in terms of like the actual science so that my brain gets it straight. Brightness in this case is going to be equal to the average brightness So this is brightness as a function of time is equal to the average brightness times the sine of the current time divided by the period. That may not make sense yet, but we're going to get there, I promise. So let me start with adding what that average brightness line is. So let's say our average brightness is, I need to do this in pixel space. So I'm trying to figure out how to make this make sense while doing this in pixel space. Let's say average is I'm just going to scale this to fit. So let's do float. You have to say what kind of variable your variables are. I'm looking. A bug can only be a feature if you can reproduce it consistently across implementations. If you label a bug a feature and can't re-implement it elsewhere, you're a lazy coder. Well, I don't have another computer with me right now, and I will happily re-implement any bug given another computer. Hand me one, I'll re-implement it. Or not, and then I'll have to debug my system and I'll be sad. Anyways, you might also be called Microsoft. That's fair. Okay, so float. Average B, so B for brightness, is going to be equal to, and this is a number I'm not planning to change. I'm just going to go with this. So the height of my plot is going to be the difference between 1/4 and 1/8 of my entire canvas size. I want to scale all of this so that if I resize my canvas, I just have a bigger plot. So I'm essentially wanting to work in this weird canvas space. Now I'm going to be oscillating up and down around this average B. So I'm going to say that this is equal to 1/16 of my height. I'm apparently just going to work in base 2 today. Why not? Everyone should work in base 2 occasionally. The value of local variable avb is not used. That's fine. I will use it in a moment, computer. Processing is so helpful. It sometimes inspires snark. So I think I've said before that code is built on caffeine and sarcasm. Okay, so we now have our average B, and I'm going to start out just by drawing a line at that particular height. And at some point, what I'm going to need to do is actually turn all of these things into some sort of a function. But for now, I'm just going to go for it and I want this to be above that. So height plus av B. And then I want to go to width. So I'm just trying to draw my average height line going all the way across, and I will make that oscillate in a moment. I'm going to have to look up how to do that actually, because the trick is with a line, it's like clearly a line. But a sign, I don't want, I did something wrong. I drew it off the edge of the canvas. My sign is actually a little bit more complicated. I think I probably need to do it as a series of little tiny points. But first, let's get this average one in. And I have failed miserably because I drew a point instead of a line. And it's pointing out to me I need to subtract this. This is why I'm trying this first. There we go. Okay, so now I have my average line and I want to oscillate around this. Now I think that the way I'm going to oscillate around this is I'm going to do a for loop. Let's do for I equals 0. How many steps do I want to do? Let's do, and I'll figure this out fancier later, I less than 100. That's overkill. Let's do 30 for now. I plus plus. Sarcasm is my favorite element, Uncle Bill says. I tend to agree with Uncle Bill. Okay, so what I need now is to know exactly what my current brightness is. I'm going to set this equal to 0. Oh, thank you, Not Lost, for the follow. That's awesome. And I caught it fast enough this time to see the rocket taking off. So that makes me feel good. My little animations are working. Okay, so we have average B gave me the straight line, and then my brightness at any current time. Let's actually just start out by setting that equal to average as a starting point. Now what I want to do, now that I have my variable declared, I'm going to say B is equal to, oh, sorry, I hit the end button by accident. B is equal to, oh, I'm sorry that you're having issues with chat, Pamela. I'm glad you were able to get it fixed. And, Not Lost, you have just such a sad username in a way, because it's like I'm not lost, I'm okay. The fact that you have to constantly reassure people that you're not lost, it kind of feels like when I travel to countries that people worry about me in, I have to keep reassuring them that I'm okay. Anyways, I'm now getting philosophical about usernames rather than coding. So I want to make a sine wave that goes about my average of B. So I'm going to multiply average B times sine of Now I have 30 points that I'm going to put over my 2 pi, which is a circle. So I'm going to do I divided by 30 times 2 pi, which is a built-in variable in this language. And then I'm going to draw a little tiny, tiny baby ellipse. And my baby ellipse shall be at, I'm going to increment across this in, so I'm going to start at width times 1/4 plus, that should be a plus sign. Now, each of my little tiny times, I'm going to move forward a fraction until it's able to go the entirety of another half to get me to that 3/4 place. So this is going to be I, which goes from 0 to 30, and this is going to be over 60 because 30 over 60 is a half. I'm sorry, let me put comments there. So draw points that are evenly spaced between width times 1/4 and width times 3/4, since there are 30 points space by 30 over 60. Okay, hopefully that will make sense to future me. And Paranor's right. Commenting equals loving your future self. I'm sorry, not lost. I'm so sorry. Okay, so width times 1/4 times I over 60 tells me where it's putting the point in X space. I'm now going to oscillate my height times 1/4, and I'm going to subtract from this my B value. And oh shoot, that told me the where. Now I have to tell it how big do I want to make these little circles. I'm going to do 20 pixels. I'm going to guess that's okay. I have no clue what color it's about to draw those pixels. We will find this out in a moment because I'm just going to press play. I'm just going to press play and see what happens. It's going to yell at me. Height, if you misspell height, strangely, your software won't work. Okay, so always spell your variables correctly or misspell them consistently. And it drew my point off the edge of the screen because I multiplied instead of adding. Okay, let's also get our signs correct. That still didn't work. That makes me sad. What am I doing wrong? Okay, let's just go with that for now and see if I can at least get a bunch of points that go up and down. That's not better. Okay. Hey Keeper, welcome. And I thank Fenmil, thank you for understanding what I was getting at. my favorite frustration is being lost in time, where I like forget what time zone everything is, and it's just like I know where I am. I don't know when I am. This happens if you have too many multi-place telecons. But I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong here. So I have I equals 0, I less than 30, I plus plus. I have no clue if this is running this 30 times or not. Let's for now just work on getting the circle back to at the B place. Let's see. Okay, so I now have that in a reasonable place. Now, sine of 0 should start this out at the smallest point. I agree with that. So let's see. So I want to do times. I'm just going to, as a starting point, do sine times pi. Why not? Let's see what pi gets me. So that should be 90 degrees. That's correct. Okay. Sine 2 pi. Also correct. Sine of 1/4 times 2 pi. I don't think that's correct. I'm going to pull up a table of sine radians table. You're not in terms of pi. You're in terms of pi. Okay, view image. I once had to memorize all of these tables, as I bet many of you also had to do. And the only reason to know these tables, as far as I've ever been able to tell, is strictly for science. Pi divided by... Oh, shoot. So, yeah. Let's try that. Why aren't you 1? You should be 1. And I deleted a parenthesis. Okay, so let's see if I do pi divided by 4. You are not 1. Why aren't you 1? Sine, because I can't read down the column. Okay, so 90 degrees is pi over 2. You should be equal to 1. You are not equal to 1. Why aren't you equal to 1? B is clearly afloat. Okay, so let's try 1.0 times 2.0, just in case the software is hateful. Aha! The software is hateful. I hate int versus float, argumentative computer languages. I have now found the problem, and I hate it. But I can deal with things that I hate. One of the things I tell my students when I'm teaching is, you don't have to like it, you just have to know it. And it's all right to know something and know you hate it. It's not all right to not know something and claim to hate it with no knowledge of it. You can despise the process of learning it sometimes. There are some things, like organic chemistry for me, that are exceedingly unpleasant to learn. Other people love organic chemistry. More power to them. I am very good now at solving circuits, circuit diagrams. The first time I encountered a circuit diagram, it kind of looked like someone had killed a bug in a very cruel way in my physics textbook. And I understand them. just don't like solving them because they still remind me of dead bugs. Anyways, now that I've solved that my problem is things really have to be floats, then I'm going to, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. I am IHOP. Okay. So now that I have all of that sorted out, I'm going to do the float of I divided by 30. And this should give me a line of these suckers going up and down. Yes, it did. That is excellent. Okay, so I'm going to be able to have a sine wave. Now, my average B isn't actually my average B. My average B is actually my max B. That's okay. I can change that. So I got that part done. I now want to do moving side to side. So to move side by side, I need to remember what I just learned and add in my fractions there, time, and remember that I want to add the float version of I divided by 60. Okay, so now it should go like that. Oh, I didn't change all my variables. Let's try that again. I am determined to not remember to rename all my variables. I'm at least consistent in my mistakes. Beer is not optional. People in the comments. Uncle Bill, coffee and pizza is all the organic chemistry I need. Okay. So I didn't exactly complete an entire sine wave, but I now at least have my points moving. And I've determined I made my ellipse way too big. I can fix all these things. So let's start by making my ellipse much smaller. Hello, little ellipse. Now I want my sine curve, sine of 1/2 pi, float I divided by 30. Yeah, that wasn't what I meant to do. So let's try 2 pi is what I meant to do. Okay. Now, with an actual variable star, you don't ever get a negative brightness. What you do get is something that just keeps cycling. I just want to shift this up is what I want to do. So to shift this up, I want to. So the reason I'm pondering is we normally do 2 full cycles in a light curve, and we always start at 0. So if I want to start at 0 in a sine wave, I want to actually start right here. So I'm going to figure this out in 2 different steps. So the first step is going to be to move everything up. No, Sabs. I'm sorry. Black holes don't have a negative brightness. They just have a lack of brightness. I am IHOP. I code on Twitch and Java every Tuesday. My go-to language at work right now is PHP. So my brain's like, gah, you have to type things. This is new. I know how to do it. It's not actually new. It's just day to day. It's PHP. It's a lazy human's language. One moment your variable is an int and the next minute it's a string, and PHP doesn't care. So our go-to language for a lot of the stuff that we do for CosmoQuest.org is all in PHP. We run everything on a LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL. We're actually in MariaDB now, and PHP. We're using Java for code that we're writing to do photometry. But right now, Big J is the only one who's had time, who you may meet Big J on the stream periodically. His name is Joe Meyer in real life. He's Big J here on Twitch. He's the one who's getting to have all the fun coding that right now. And so, yes, my brain is flipping languages, but that's how you know you're a coder, is your brain can flip languages. So now I need to offset this entire thing, and it turns out my line for average B, it was actually average B. So I'm just gonna find and replace this time. That did not work as planned. So let me rename that, because I had it right the first try. Average B. Average B is actually average B. So I want to take average B plus the amount that I'm offsetting by. Okay, so that should, I just lost my cursor. There it is. That should move it. Okay, so I nailed that one. Now I have to get this to start over here. 10 go to 10. I think I wrote that Fortran once. So I want to start at, looking at my handy dandy chart, I want to start at 270, which is 3 pi over 2. So in theory, I can, because it's a sine curve, I can now add 3.0 times pi divided by 2.0, because Java is typecast. And that did what I wanted. I have made the light curve of a star. Now, it's kind of crappy, to be fair. But one of the things that deeply amuses me is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but as my star changes color, all of my circles change color with it on that silly little plot. So the next thing I'm going to have to figure out is, I just want all of those to be white. So let's fix that, because those are currently silly. Let's do fill 255. Oh, not 25, 255. Oh, shoot, I recolored my star. I did not mean to recolor my star. Let's move all of the line drawing stuffity plot stuff up above, making my, it won't let me cut. I would like to cut. It won't let me. I hate everything at this moment. Okay. I'm gonna see if this will let me close it, reopen it, and use copy and paste if I reopen it? Because I really don't want to have to retype all that code. When all else fails, close and reopen, right? That's a solution to everything, isn't it? Even with humans, like power us down, take a nap, everything's better after the nap. Let's see if I can now copy and paste. Okay, here is my code. I just want to grab my plot drawingness and the background drawingness and cut. Yes, okay, so it apparently works the first time you try it. I'm going to now move it up to the beginning. Okay. I'm going to save this, and I have a theory. That if I try and copy and paste after I run my animation, that will be when copy and paste says no. That's my theory. Okay, so I have my plot with little white circles. Goal accomplished. Now, let's see if I can copy and paste. Control C, Control V. So that worked. I have no idea. It is randomly reproducible. It is what it is. So I have the question, can you cut with the menu? I think I'm enough out of sync. I tried cutting with the menu before and it was like, no. Michael, let me read what you're saying. Michael threw in a whole lot of details that is all completely correct. Java in general is a compiled language. Processing is making it so much easier because processing just takes care of all of that under the hood for me. Okay, so I'm pretty much going to call it a stop here after reviewing what I've gone through. My goal for next week is going to be to have whichever point represents where the star is in its pulsation cycle flash, so that if the star is at its smallest, brightest point, this will appear yellow. As it gets to the next point, it will get a bit, you'll see the color progress. You'll be able to follow the cycle on the plot, see how the star changes in brightness. I'm also going to work on adding the word time, adding the word brightness. So there's some things that I'm going to work on adding next week. But we're slowly working on getting our way to a meaningful data visualization of what's going on here. Now, once I have this working for one star, with Cepheid variables, we have what's called the period luminosity relationship, which says that if you have a star that's kind of small for a Cepheid, when it pulsates in brightness, it's going to pulsate in brightness over a weekish or so, a small number of days. It has a smaller period. If you have a bigger Cepheid variable star, one that maybe pulsates over tens of days, it's going to pulsate slower. So the more luminous, the bigger the star, the slower it pulsates. And this actually has to do with the size of the resonating atmosphere. The bigger that resonating atmosphere, the longer the wavelength of the pulsation. Just like if you blow into a 2-liter bottle, you get a deeper sound than if you blow into your 1/2-liter bottle or your 20-ounce soda. So when it pulsates, What do you mean the camera pulsates in focus? It shouldn't be that the camera. I don't understand, Michael. So no, it's strictly. You've confused me, Michael. I'm just gonna go with you have confused me. But it's the end of the day. That happens quite easily. I need hot tea. But I'm pleased with the. Oh, my webcam was losing its mind. Sorry about that. My webcams are hateful things. They love to lose focus. It's what they do. Sorry about that. Did not mean to drive you guys crazy by messing with my webcams by accident. Sorry. Okay, I need better webcams. I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. I know what I'm going to do next week. I've been documenting as I go. And yes, I believe Keeper of Maps has it correct. My camera does focus on random passing molecules. Paranor, I don't actually know how to turn off auto light leveling on a Mac. The problem that I run into is all those really nifty Logitech drivers that allow you to make all of those adjustments kind of mock Apple. And Michael, you're always welcome to be funny. You just confused me in the process. But as I said, I'm having a Tuesday that's really my second Monday. So yeah, this is where I'm at. Thank you for joining. Yes, Logitech is sometimes bad. But I own all their products. It's kind of a contradiction. So I'm Dr. Pamela Gay of CosmoQuest. I actually am here on Twitch as part of my job, and I'm thankful for all of you joining me. This is all part of a project that you can check out at cosmoquest.org, where we invite you to help us explore our solar system, to help us map out other worlds and our own doing science. And we are now in the process of also writing science that will allow you, once we're done, to go out and measure the light that comes from variable stars like Cepheids that I'm modeling here. And my goal is to eventually be able to put up this simulation and then show you this happening with my own data. We've got a ways to go before either of those things is complete, but this is the path we're on. While we work on getting that software done, check out everything that we have to map out the Moon, Mercury, Vesta, Mars, and even our own planet Earth. I am about to be away for a little while. I will be back. I don't think I'll be back next week due to time zone differences. I will be in Amsterdam Sunday, where I'm hosting a meetup. We have Eventbrite information. And Nightbot is also not working today. We have, let's see if I just wrote the wrong command maybe. Oh, it's going to make me log back in. Okay, I'm going to forfeit. Michael is writing, Pamela, you mentioned the other day that you're writing an image processing program. Do you want any assistance? I would love assistance, Michael. Can I drop you an email about that? I'm actually going to write that down. Write Michael and the software we're working on is called Transient Tracker. I will get in touch with you, Michael. Thank you. Gordon, try ! wish. I think the CQ wish is the command that I set up on my personal Twitch stream. Yes, we could totally use Transient Tracker to find Starman. It's true. And now, okay, Nightbot is just being hateful. Everything is being hateful tonight. I am so sorry, everyone. Does exclamation mark WSH work? I'm like, so I can show you, like, I'm currently looking at Nightbot. It has the commands listed in here. And I'm sad. I don't know why this isn't working. I have no clue. Okay. I'm going to simply see if Twitch will let me type things in to the chat back end, and I'll just copy the information in. Oh, come on. Twitch is now going to make me do two-factor authentication. I'm going to do this. I'm going to win over Twitch. Oh, it didn't make me two-factor. Okay, that's good. It just made me log back in. So please, if you have a moment, we're doing research to understand how we can do everything better. There are all of our surveys. Then here is our Amazon wish list, and you can get involved in everything we do over at the Weekly Space Hangout crew. Our Amazon wish list is stuff that we just need to do everything we do a little bit better around CosmoQuest. And when all else fails, we take pizza. We actually transform your bits into pizza. Yeah, that's a thing. So thank you for helping me feed my programmers and myself. I eat the pizza too. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to give Nightbot a kick. I don't, blah. But we have a pulsating variable star, and the pulsating variable star is quite exciting. I think I'm going to call it a day before I break anything else. And I'm going to say thank you for being here this evening. And thank you for watching me code. If you're new, then give us a follow. And hey, Cosmic Lettuce, you're joining us just as we're about to call it an evening on this channel. So I do have other things in 15 minutes. Some of you know what they are. And I will be back here a week from next Tuesday to continue my adventures with this. Next Sunday afternoon, I will be in Amsterdam. You are all welcome to join me. I'm not buying you an airplane ticket, but I will save you a seat. So follow along on Twitter, CosmoQuest X, and you can learn all about everything that's going on. For now, I'm going to go make some hot tea. And you guys have a fabulous morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.